The last 7 years, we've seen a huge transformation in the way we maintain and build our infrastructure. When I started at Facebook, things were a lot simpler. Our usage was on desktop, and our videos fit on a single filer in a small colo in San Francisco. The growth was incredible, and we spent most of our time just figuring out either how to get through the next week or how to find data center space for the next year. Now, with more than 1 billion people around the world using Facebook every day, those colo facilities have turned into open compute data centers, and those filers are now OCP storage sleds. When I look back to when OCP first got off the ground 5 years ago with its bold mission to remake servers and data center infrastructure, since we got started, hundreds of companies have joined and thousands of people have participated. It's remarkable to see where we are today. OCP is the place where engineers can come together to build amazing things. Collaboration between companies is hard, and anybody who's ever tried to get an NDA in place between two companies to work on a tech project where some IP might be at stake knows that that's a pain in the ass. And then if you actually try to do it with 3 or 4 companies, it's effectively impossible. OCP is one of those organizations that allows us to come together to work on projects as a community and really land some amazing wins. It's a great time to be part of the leadership of this organization. We have a very strong board, and we are all inspired and impressed by the achievements of the community. With more than 24 contributions that have been proposed and accepted over the last year, we have fantastic technology coming into the OCP Summit this year, and I feel a tremendous sense of momentum that's been building really over the last couple of years as we've moved beyond just hyperscale and into finance and telco. Speaking of the foundation, I want to thank all of our board members for their hard work. 1 year ago, we thought we could better utilize the collective talents of the board, so we moved to a rotation. That's how I came to be in this position today. And we can't put events like these on without the support of our sponsors. So let's all give a round of applause to this year's sponsors. I'd also like to take a minute to thank the project leads and incubation committee members for their tireless efforts. We wouldn't have all these new contributions ready for everyone if it wasn't for these folks, and so let's also give them a round of applause. Look for the project leads and IC members in the green track jackets. They look like they're from the 70s over here. I can't believe how this turned out. That's amazing. They are the core of the technical leadership of the foundation. They come together every 6 weeks, work on acceptance criteria, work on specific proposals, talk a lot about, are they encouraging innovation, are they discouraging it, can we standardize SKUs, can we consolidate on more fundamental building blocks? It is a fantastic group of people, and we're all very lucky to have them, and so, again, thank you. OCP is all about making data center infrastructure more efficient, flexible, and scalable. By stripping down infrastructure to the core building blocks, you can take them and put them together, take them apart and put them together in the best way for your environment. I'm talking about clean server designs, simple storage blocks, and network switches. You'll find no hardware lock-in on an OCP server and no pointless differentiation. In the past 5 years, more and more industries have seen the benefits of taking open approaches to infrastructure. It's not just the biggest web companies building OCP gear anymore. OCP has gotten the attention of organizations where infrastructure is core to their business. We can pretty much declare victory among all the high scale and cloud companies in terms of either accepting OCP or a white box variant. And companies like Facebook, Microsoft, and others are either deploying OCP or white box to almost all of their infrastructure. This emphasis on infrastructure as core to the business is what's driving the momentum that we're currently seeing among the financial tech and telecommunications companies. These are the companies that need to invest in infrastructure in order to just exist, in order to be efficient, in order to just do their business. And this is why we really feel that finance and telco have both found a home in the OCP org. The acceptance of OCP from the telecommunications industry is a particularly important sign of momentum for the community. We launched the OCP Telecommunications Project earlier this year at the end of January, and you'll hear from several of the other companies who just joined. AT&T, Deutsche Telekom, SKT, and Verizon. And you'll hear from them later in this keynote lineup, and I'm sure you'll be able to talk to them throughout the next 2 days. This is another industry where infrastructure is core to the business. Now the momentum is building and helping the OCP community start to address the efficiency problems that they find in their data centers. And hopefully we'll end up with a far more efficient infrastructure for everyone to use in the telecommunications world. We've also seen the birth of the Telecommunications Project. So the Telecom Infrastructure Project, also called TIP, is an effort that OCP welcomes. It is very close to OCP, it is complementary to OCP, but it focuses far more on the challenges of software and hardware for wireless access networks and wireless backhaul. And given that different focus, we needed a different approach, and we needed a new organization, and again, OCP welcomes TIP to the community. The next question is, what comes next? So, as more contributions are made to OCP across varied projects, it's easier to adopt OCP tech than it ever was before. Now, generally speaking, if you have megawatts of servers, tens of millions of dollars of quarterly spend, you're going to want to go all in on building facilities. You're going to want to buy land. You're going to want to build OCP air-cooled data centers. You're going to want to build efficient power infrastructure, really counting the loss at every stage in your electricity chain. Rather than do UPS systems at the room level, you're going to want to put it kind of off to the side of the servers, like the OCP racks, and you're going to want to adopt OCP motherboards. Now, that's applicable if you're deploying megawatts. Now, if you're not, and you're a lot like Facebook was just a few years ago, you need a 19-inch rack compatible server, and there's no reason that you cannot adopt the OCP motherboard in your infrastructure. And we're actually really excited to see Quanta, WeWin, and others adopt the OCP motherboard designs into the 19-inch form factor. So these are standard servers, standard power supplies, and they'll go into a rack that you find in almost any colo facility. So thank you to the community for producing that, because I think that will start to build a lot more momentum among grassroots, among a much broader set of industries. Now, before I close, I want to spend a little while talking about networking. The trend in networking over the last 6 years is too big to ignore. It is absolutely crazy how much bandwidth you can get for about the same cost as what you paid 6 years ago compared to today. 6 years ago, you'd be building racks with 1 gig uplinks, maybe 1 gig to the server, and today it's completely cost efficient to deploy 40 gig networks and 100 gig networks. This is a 20x increase in the amount of networking that you can provide per server over only 6 years. Now, that needs to affect every aspect of your infrastructure. If you're building things that store, if you're building file storage systems, all of that needs to be disaggregated. You need to take advantage of this exponential gain in networking and the amount of bandwidth you can give to your infrastructure per dollar. I hate to say it, it really just, it kills me, but locality for anything to do with networking in terms of disk or even flash it's starting to become a thing of the past. For the next 10 years, we're going to be in a phase where you really do not need to worry about how much networking bandwidth you have within a data center, and software and systems designs need to be taking advantage of it. I love network locality and I love applications that are aware of the network as much as everybody else. But if you're not taking advantage of this, you're really missing out. Later this year, Facebook will be deploying 100 gig networks in one of our latest facilities, and as of January of next year, everything will be 100 gig. So you should be looking for that kind of tech coming to you and to your data centers very, very soon. Now I want everyone to remember that no matter what company you represent, you play a part in making all of this vision happen. OCP is a community effort. We all come together to define the problems and to take them down. And I would say more than anything, this organization allows us all to work together with just less friction and really move a lot quicker. If you think of the last 6 years of what you assumed about data centers and about networking hardware, you assumed everything had a faceplate. Data centers were really not very power efficient. The power supplies you bought were maybe 92% efficient. There was everything was hard. And now, building efficient green infrastructure, data centers with far better PUEs, and servers without that differentiation and lock-in, completely possible and really easy to get today. And that's all because of this community, and so I thank you. And on behalf of the community, I really want to thank everyone who's contributed over the last several years.